I'm buying this house for my baby's wedding present. $40,000 cash.
Psycho, 1960. 10 behind-the-scenes facts you never knew. When Psycho hit theaters in 1960, the world thought it was just another thriller, until the knife fell and cinema changed forever. A low-budget production, born from the nightmare, buried deep in the human mind that terrified people to take showers for years. So, lock the motel door and draw the curtains for 10 true stories from Psycho.
You have a vacancy.
Oh, we have 12 vacancies. 12 cabins, 12 vacancies. They moved away the highway.
1. The killer behind the curtain. Before Norman Bates checked in guests at the Bates Motel, a man named Ed Gein was quietly living on a small Wisconsin farm in the 1950s. To neighbors, he seemed strange but harmless. But when police entered his farmhouse in 1957, they discovered something out of a nightmare. Chairs upholstered with human skin, bowls made from skulls, and a belt made entirely of nipples. Gein had robbed graves and murdered women, attempting to create a woman suit to resemble his dead mother, though he never succeeded in creating one. This real-life horror became the seed of Psycho. Author Robert Bloch, who lived just 35 miles from Gein's farm, wrote Psycho in 1959 after reading about the crimes. He never met Gein, but his imagination filled in the blanks, creating Norman Bates, a man so obsessed with his mother that he couldn't let her go, even in death. When Alfred Hitchcock got his hands on Bloch's book, he knew he had found gold, or rather blood-stained silver. 2. Hitchcock's dedication knows no bounds. Alfred Hitchcock was already a legend by the late 1950s, known for films like Rear Window and Vertigo. But Psycho didn't really impress his studio much. Paramount Pictures thought the story was too disgusting, hence far too risky for the screen. So, Hitchcock did what any determined genius would do. He mortgaged his own house to fund it. He bought the rights to Bloch's novel for $9,000. And the crazy part is that he did it all anonymously. After that, he went to as many bookstores as he could and bought an ungodly number of the book's copies so no one could spoil the ending. This man was so dedicated, he basically invented the concept of no spoilers allowed before X, formerly known as Twitter, even existed. He shot the entire movie with his television crew from Alfred Hitchcock Presents to cut costs, and decided to film in black and white, which may be a clever decision that not only saved money, but also helped in making the violent scenes more bearable for the screens.
A maniac. A raving thing. She just goes a little mad sometimes.
He admitted later that he hated the sight of blood or anything even remotely similar, so he avoided showing red blood in a stark white room. But of course, Hitchcock can make even chocolate syrup look deadly if he wants to. 3. The chocolate syrup murder. The shower scene in Psycho is one of the most analyzed, parodied, and unforgettable moments in movie history. It lasts for only 45 seconds, but it took Hitchcock no less than 7 full days to film it. That's because there were 70 different camera angles used to depict violence without directly showing a knife piercing the skin. And the blood running down the drain? That's your childhood favorite Hershey's chocolate syrup, believe it or not. With just the right thickness and color, it mimicked blood perfectly on a black and white production. Then there was the sound of a knife stabbing flesh, which wasn't real either, thankfully. It was actually created by repeatedly stabbing a melon, a watermelon to be exact. So, next time you make fruit salad, try not to think about Norman Bates. Initially, Hitchcock wanted to film the scene in total silence, but his composer, Bernard Herrmann, secretly wrote the iconic screeching violin score and showed it to him anyway. Hitchcock changed his mind immediately and later said, 33% of the effect of Psycho was due to the music. Who knew an act of disobedience by Herrmann would create the sound that would haunt cinema forever?
Your girlfriend stole $40,000. What
are you talking about?
What is this?
She was supposed to bank it on Friday for her boss. She didn't.
4. Janet Leigh's terrifying week. Janet Leigh, who played Marion Crane, only filmed for 3 weeks. but one of those weeks was entirely dedicated to the shower scene. Imagine standing under icy water. A crew of men points cameras at you for 7 days straight. No wonder she later admitted that she avoided showers for years. If you thought Hitchcock manipulated images like a master, let me tell you how he had mastered emotions as well. Before filming, he placed a stuffed version of Mother Bates in Leigh's dressing room chair as a prank. When she turned on the lights and saw the corpse, her scream was so perfect that Hitchcock decided the prop was ready for the real shoot. Then, after Psycho was released, some eye specialists sent Hitchcock letters in which they pointed out how Leigh's eyes looked too lively to belong to a dead person in the death scene itself. Apparently, they hadn't dilated as much as a corpse's eye would. He learned his lesson and began using special eye drops for dead characters in all his later films. And that's just a glimpse of his obsession with detail. 5. Secrets, lies, and locked scripts. Hitchcock was well aware that Psycho's power lay in its mysterious air. He was so desperate to protect the film's secrets that he forced all the cast and crew members to swear an oath that they wouldn't reveal the plot. As if that wasn't enough, the last 10 pages of the script weren't even distributed until the final days of shooting. And when it came time for release, he launched one of the most ingenious marketing campaigns in history. No one was allowed to enter the theater after the movie had begun. No, not even the President of the United States. Posters outside theaters warned audiences, no one will be admitted into the theater after the start of each performance of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. The theater managers were instructed to lock the doors once the film started, so if you and your friends tried sneaking in 10 minutes late, Hitchcock himself will make sure to show you the exit door. So, hit that subscribe button as a thank you note to Netflix, because it allows you to take as many snack breaks as you need without NDA contracts.
Norman Bates's mother has been dead and buried in Green Lawn Cemetery for the past 10 years.
6. Breaking all the rules. In 1960, Psycho broke almost every cinematic rule imaginable. The biggest shock came 47 minutes in, when Hitchcock killed off the film's apparent protagonist, Marion Crane. The audience was stunned. This was Janet Leigh, the star of the whole show, and she was dead before the movie was even halfway over. These bold moves are exactly what altered film history forever. Hitchcock said, "It was the most delightful way to play with the audience." And the audience in question? Terrified, to say the least. They felt both betrayed and thrilled, as no character was safe enough anymore, and no way to predict the ending. Psycho jumped beyond the realms of horror and turned into literal psychological warfare for the audience. The theater was a trap, the same way Norman Bates trapped his guests at the hotel. 7. Hidden meanings. Hitchcock filled Psycho with subtle symbols that made viewers uneasy without even knowing why. Every time a mirror appears, the person looking into it is doing something morally wrong. Marion counts stolen money in a mirror. Sam and Lila hide in a hotel under fake names. The mirror becomes a reflection of the double life, just like Norman and Mother. The film's title itself, Psycho, doesn't just describe Norman Bates. It reflects the audience's psyche while they watch the film and are forced to identify with both the victim and the killer. Hitchcock once said, "The audience is like a peeping Tom. We are all voyeurs." That's why, even as we fear Norman, we can't stop watching him. Maybe the horror of the show lies in the fact that it proves how evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like the quiet boy next door who runs a motel.
You look frightened. Have I been saying something frightening?
I don't know what you've been saying.
I've been talking about your mother, about your motel.
8. Hitchcock's gamble pays off. Hitchcock's decision to finance Psycho himself was risky, but it paid off spectacularly. The film cost about $800,000 US to make and earned over $50 million US worldwide. Critics were initially divided, but audiences loved it so much that they were seen screaming, fainting, and lined up all around the block. Psycho pushed censorship boundaries as far as it could go, and influenced everything from Halloween to The Silence of the Lambs. And yes, Ed Gein's twisted legacy kept on inspiring not just Norman Bates, but Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs. For a man who claimed he hated the sight of blood, Hitchcock sure knew how to make audiences bleed fear. 9. The censorship battle. When Hitchcock first submitted Psycho to the Motion Picture Production Code, censors were outraged by its opening bedroom scene and the infamous shower murder. They demanded cuts to be made, as it was too indecent for release. Hitchcock pretended to edit the footage, but slyly resubmitted the same version, and it passed. The film also made history by showing a toilet flushing for the first time in mainstream American cinema, a small but shocking act that symbolized Hitchcock's determination to shatter Hollywood taboos and set a new structure for what could be shown on screen.
I'll just sit here and be quiet, just in case they do suspect me.
10. The hidden cameo. Alfred Hitchcock had a famous habit of sneaking himself into his own movies, and Psycho was no exception. About 6 minutes into the film, he can be spotted standing outside Marion Crane's office, dressed in a light-colored suit and wearing a cowboy hat. The moment was only a few seconds long, but it was unmistakably him. Hitchcock intentionally placed this cameo so early in the story because audiences had come to expect his appearance and would often spend entire films scanning every frame to find him. By showing himself right away, he eliminated the distraction and ensured viewers focused entirely on the suspense and story. It became one of his most clever cameos and a wink to his loyal fans. A reminder that even the master of suspense couldn't resist appearing in his own nightmare. That's how true horror, that sharpened by a genius mind, could carve into people's hearts. A film that didn't just make people scream, but made them question what they were actually scared of. So if you made it through the murder scene without flinching, subscribe now and keep your eyes out for more clever masterpieces.